that they come and speak to you. What's the kind of hopes that they have? What is the kind of Afghanistan that they want to be built going ahead?
In most of the cases, it's the women delegations. I've had somebody come and I interact with foreign agencies and NGOs and all that. But women are really very happy to have somebody they can come to. Unfortunately, when they go to ministries, often the case is that they have to wait for hours before somebody notices they are there, and maybe somebody will see them. Whereas at my office, there is a very clear procedure. They call, they get an appointment, they come, they're told from 10 to 11, I'm there from 10 to 11. So it's very predictable, I am there, I'm listening. I enjoy it. I have to say I'm a people's person. So I enjoy sitting and talking with the women, or with whoever comes. And what they expect, they expect to be received with respect, and and then they say what they have to say. Sometimes they're really coming from situations that are very harsh, and they tell me, oh, you've forgotten us, we are in very faraway provinces, no services, nobody comes to see us, just because there is a whiff of insecurity, everybody takes the excuse not to do anything for us. But, you know, I can't do much for them, but at least I register what they say. And, you know, I try in other places like here to say this is the situation. So somehow, I give them back their self-respect, I give them back some encouragement, I encourage them to do things for themselves.
This reassure means a lot to all of them. In fact, before I take another question from Ambassador Abdali, I could ask you one question here. You know, ma'am, of course, came back to Afghanistan in 2002 with President Ghani. From 2002 to now, how has Afghanistan really changed, especially for women? You know, to the outside world, perhaps there are stereotypes that we think of when we think of Afghanistan. But how do you think really has the ground reality in a way changed, especially for women?
Well, a lot has changed. The very fact that we see this delegation of Afghan women sitting here in this group representing the Afghan businesses from the women's side is a change. And it's just a small example. And if you see the business in Afghanistan is flourishing, and the woman has a great stake in participation in this business. So the difference, I will conclude, is the difference of standard.
And I can also tell you for sure, I have a lot of, in fact, friends in Afghanistan, friends who are women, and of course, you know, men and their wives. And they really seem to have learned a lot of Hindi, that entrepreneurial streak in them by actually watching Bollywood movies and serials. And I'm amazed, they speak much better Hindi than most of us here in India. So, you know, I think that there's an energy to learn new things very easily amongst women there. So, can we just get you a... Yes,
so, I would like to take a question. Flo has been working in the field of women's development and empowerment for the last 30 years. What, in your estimation, can we do together, women to women, for to improve relationships and for empowering women in both our countries?
Well, the first step to empowerment is education. And you seem to have already developed training and training sessions, thought through how to help women become entrepreneurs, how to help women figure out what are their skills and how they can develop them. And I think in the first step, this might be a great help if we can share that, maybe by you sending trainers to Kabul, or by us managing to send a group of women here. That would be, I'm thinking along these lines, and I'm sure there are other possibilities too.
It would be a privilege.
Thank you. There's a lot to explore. Yes, please go ahead with the question.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Smita Agarwal, representing the Northeast chapter, which is as far from Delhi as Afghanistan is from here. So, and the Northeast has seen a lot of conflict, like your country has, Now both the areas I think are returning to peace and normalcy. How do you think you can overcome the challenges and create opportunities for the women and youth in Afghanistan in the global scenario? Thank you.
That's it's a mouthful. As I said, education is the first step. You're talking about countries coming out of conflict. One aspect of education will be a peace curriculum, trying to teach again people how to live together harmoniously, how to resolve conflicts in a calm manner, mediation, all that. Globally, I'm still not yet thinking globally. I'm thinking still the first step of developing their skills and helping them become self-confident, helping them understand how to do branding, marketing, all the steps of developing a business. There are already a few organizations, NGOs that do that. The problem is that we have a lot of NGOs that work each one separately. And maybe a role I can play is to try and bring together all the NGOs that are doing the same thing to kind of come all under one umbrella and do one system. Or maybe licensing certain skills. I'm only working that far. I haven't thought farther. You're asking about the global market. Of course, there are enormous possibilities, but I have not yet reached them.
If I would just add to
Thank
that,
you so
in terms of women's empowerment, do you think the way Afghanistan is moving ahead today, when there is a democracy, a thriving democracy, it is a long-term, of course, proposition to try and restructure organizations. But within that, in the short term, you can try and work towards women empowerment. That there are ways, of course, to try and achieve this.
Sure. I mean, it's just psychologically to tell the woman you can go ahead and if you have an idea, go for it. If you want to create an institution, go for it. I'll be there. I'll support you vocally. I will encourage you. Yes, they can. It's a little bit like any. I think a great number of you are all mothers here. And when you have a child and you're rearing a child, there is a period where you have to encourage the child. It's called positive encouragement. You have to help them find their strength, and you have to help them decide what they want to be in life. And it's a little bit the same kind of parallel. I sound very ambitious. I'm not going to be able to talk to everyone. But I think the mere fact that I will say, you can do it. They will do it.
Yes, we can. Perhaps this level there as well. Yes, let's get a question from both of you, please.
Hi, good evening. My question to you is, why you see various opportunities for development of women and youth in Afghanistan, and that you can do it? What are the challenges that you think that you face for the development of women and youth in Afghanistan?
Well, the challenge, there is an expression you use a lot here in India, it's changing the mindset. So you will understand what I mean. In my case, I was married 40 years ago and I came to live in Afghanistan and I lived with my in-laws. So I had a very close knowledge of our culture at the time. Then we went to the States for my husband's PhD doctorate, and we were stuck there with all that was happening at home. We were told not to come back. So we lived in the States. When I came back in 2001, 2002, the difference was incredible. And the difference was that society, the fabric of society had been ripped apart. And that's normal because families were divided, some people disappeared, some people went to another country, it was like the society was in shambles. And when this happens, the values disappear too. And when values disappear, the first ones to suffer are women. Because people start losing their respect to women, and and all the problems.
Societal mindsets are perhaps common to challenges that women face everywhere, be it India, be it Afghanistan, be it elsewhere.
Exactly the same challenges. But what I'm trying to say is that in my case, at least I am going to try to revive the traditional values that I knew in 1975. Because in those days, women were respected. In my husband's family, maybe half, I'm talking about extended family, half the women went to work. There were teachers, there was a historian, there was a hospital director, there was a counselor, they were working women. And the others stayed home. But there was no difference between the ones that were home and one. And those who went out to work were never told, oh, what are you doing? You're going out. No. And when my mother-in-law went to the market, she was never harassed. Never. Nobody ever said anything. On the contrary, they would help her carry her things and all that. We have lost respect for women, and what I would like is to reinstate respect to women, for women within the family, in public places, and within the workplace.
We'll just take one last question.
Her Excellency, as kids in India, we all were told about a story of Kabuliwala.
Yes.
And he was a just man. All our human societies were tribally organized, and so were the Afghans. So what went wrong in your country?
War. I mean, conflict. That's what went wrong. And when the circle of violence starts, it's a vicious circle. It doesn't stop. Because one side wins, then the other one fights back, and then a third side comes back. This is war. I mean, I don't know what's happening the world over. I mean, look at the Middle East. I really don't understand why all these countries are having all these fights within themselves. And that is it's very easy to destroy. And I come from Lebanon, we had a civil war there. And it takes maybe one bomb to destroy a building. It takes, 12 months, 14 months to rebuild it. It takes a long
But perhaps conflicts also make people more resilient, and that's why before we end the show, if I may ask you, you are here in India. From India, what is you're hoping to be a takeaway which can help women in your country rebuild?
First of all, I can tell them that they can, because women in India are doing it. Why shouldn't they? That's the first thing. The second thing is to tell them that they have support. That you have Indian sisters that want to support you, want to help you. So don't think that you are fighting this fight just on your own. No, you have support. And what I also would like to say is that women in India have become secure enough that they are participating alongside men in many venues, be it political, economic, and all this. And I think I would tell them that this is the future. It's not a war between men and women. No, it's just allowing the women to become